What are your thoughts on simulation theory?
If you mean that we're living in a
Yes.
simulation, well, first of all, some people believe that we can express physics as formulas, and that the universe is actually able to is capable of computation, and therefore everything that happens is a result of some computation, and therefore the universe is capable of. We are living in something that is computable. And there's some debate about whether that's feasible, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we're living in a simulation. Generally, if you say we're living in a simulation, you assume that there's some other place, and teenagers in that world like to create a simulation. So they created a simulation that we live in, and you want to make sure that they don't turn the simulation off, so it'd have to be interesting to them, and so they keep the simulation going. But the whole universe could be capable of simulating reality, and that's what we live in, and it's not a game, it's just the way the universe works. I mean, what would the difference be if we lived in a simulation?
This is what I'm saying. If we can, and we're on our way to creating something that is indiscernible from reality itself, I don't think we're that far away from that, many decades away from having some sort of a virtual experience that's indiscernible from regular reality.
I mean, we try to do that with games and so on.
Right. And those are far superior to what they were. I'm younger than you, but I can remember Pong. Remember Pong? It was groundbreaking. You could play a video game on your television. This is crazy. It was so nuts.
Yeah, and we're way beyond that now.
Yeah, so. Now you look at like the Unreal 5 engine. It's insane how beautiful it is and how incredible and what the
So if you live in that, that's kind of a simulation.
Right, but as you expand that further and you get to the point where you're actually in a simulation, and that your life is not this carbon-based biological life, feeling and texture that you think it is, but that you're really a part of this thing that's been created. And this is where it gets real weird with like probability theory, right? Because they think that if a simulation is possible, it's more likely it's already happened.
I mean, there's really an unlimited amount of things that we could simulate and experience.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to say we're living in a simulation because a lot of what we're doing is it's living in a computational world anyway, so it's basically being simulated.
Yeah. In a way, yeah. And if you were some sort of an alien life form, wouldn't that be the way you go instead of like taking physical metal crafts and shooting them off into space? Wouldn't you sort of create artificial space? Create artificial worlds, create something that exists in the sense that you experience it.
Right.
And it's indiscernible to the person experiencing it.
But if you're intelligent enough, you'll be able to tell what's being simulated and what's not. And
up to a point, until it actually does all the same things that regular reality does. It just does it through technology, and maybe that's what the universe is.
But that's okay, and we could still experience what's happening.
Yeah.
And we could also experience people doing galaxy-wide engineering, which not all of which would be simulated.
So the galaxy-wide engineering is the main thing that you look at to the point where I don't see any evidence for life outside. Well, there's definitely no real evidence that we've seen, other than these people that talk about UFOs, UAPs, and pilots, and all these people that say that there's these things.
We basically don't see any evidence that life is simulated outside of our own life. I mean,
right.
We can simulate things and experience it. We don't see any evidence that other beings are doing that elsewhere.
Right, but this is based on such limited data, though, right? I mean, look at what limited data we just have of Mars. We have a rover rolling around, satellites in orbit. It's very limited data with something that's just one planet over. We don't really have the data to
Right,
understand what's
right.
going on in Alpha Centauri.
It's possible that there's simulated life elsewhere. I mean, we don't see any evidence for it, but it's possible.
Is it something that intrigues you, or do you just look at it like there's no evidence, so I'm not going to concentrate on that?
I'm very interested to see what we can achieve, because we're actually I can see that we're on that path. And so it doesn't take a lot of curiosity on my part to imagine other people simulating life and enjoying it. I'm much more interested to see what will be feasible for us, and we're not that far away from it.